Good evening and welcome to the Upper Darby Township Planning Commission meeting for May 12th. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. Our chairperson, Jeff Roken, is unable to be with us tonight, so I will fill in for that role. We have, the other four of us are here, and so we do have a quorum. The next item on your agenda is the approval of the minutes from the April meeting. Is there any need for changes or corrections?
No.
Motion to approve?
Seconded.
Who, did you first?
Or first.
First.
Yeah.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We have no communications or bills, so we can move on to the Community and Economic Development Report. Hi, Rita.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to present to the Planning Commission. I'm Rita LaRue, Director of Community and Economic Development for Upper Darby Township. I first want to thank the Commission for participating in our Urban Land Institute Technical Assistance Panel. We had that, it's been over a month now. So it was a great time though. The building felt very energized. Everybody I talked to seemed to enjoy the questions of the panel. And we are certainly looking forward to getting their full report, which we should have in about 6 to 8 weeks. I also would like to fill you in on a couple of other items that are in the economic development arena. In March, Mayor Brown, Crandall Jones, our CAO, and I met with Ken Weinstein, who's president of Philly Office Retail, which specializes in renovating vacant and deteriorated commercial and residential units. We'll be meeting with his team to tour the building he owns in downtown Upper Darby, which is 7200 Chestnut Street. It's currently about a third occupied. They're very interested, of course, in having full occupation of that building, as are we. In April, I attended the Main Street America National Conference in Philadelphia. At the Civic Leader Lunch, I had the opportunity to discuss possible funding sources for assistance to property owners of rental properties. I spoke with representatives from the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh, and the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development. So we're really looking for ways. We have a lot of rental properties in Upper Darby. Some of the landlords are terrific with keeping their properties up. Some are not. So we want to make sure that if they qualify, if they're good actors, but maybe just don't have the financial resources to make substantial repairs, we want to find new funding sources that they can apply for. If you haven't had the opportunity, I encourage you to review Upper Darby's 5-year capital plan, which is available on the Upper Darby website. There are many deferred maintenance projects involving roads, sewers, and public safety. And all of these items and more are very important to making Upper Darby attractive to potential businesses, developers, and investors. A new business owner who wants to open, say, a brand new restaurant is going to be concerned about the condition of the sewer that they're going to be hooking up to, or the roads that people will take to get to their establishment. So all of the capital plan items, particularly the ones involving deferred maintenance and infrastructure, are very important to the future of Upper Darby. And we would appreciate your reviewing that plan, commenting on it, and any support you can give to making sure those items get moved forward. And finally, the Community Development Block Grant Program Year 51 Public Services application is now available at the Upper Darby website. And that CDBG program, as we affectionately call it, was created to provide communities with economic opportunities that lead to vibrant, attractive, safe, and sustainable commercial and residential communities. Housing and related quality of life issues per our consolidated plan for CDBG are top priority for us. So that's the acquisition of housing by low to moderate income persons, the prevention of homelessness, or the provision of shelter for those experiencing homelessness are prioritized in that plan. Community and Economic Development is hosting a mandatory information session for interested nonprofit organizations that might like to apply for those funds. The session will be held 5:30 p.m. this Thursday, May 15th. It is a virtual session, so anybody interested in applying and attending that session can email cdbgsub@upperdarby.org to request a link to the meeting. And the application is due on May 29th. Are there any questions?
And, I don't know if recently I've seen on TV, there's really a big push to visit Delco. Because we have a really big year coming up, right? We have Cobb's Creek is, hopefully next year will be open.
Yep.
And then you have the PGA, you're gonna have the soccer tournament. So, I mean, I think we have a window now, if we can get this all together and make improvements to really put Upper Darby on the map. Because we're very close to Cobb's, and I mean, we're close to all these events that are gonna be happening. So, I
Yes.
mean, it can benefit us as residents and businesses. So, I mean, I think it's really important that we get the funding and we get as much as we can done in the next year or two.
Right.
Just to attract people who don't know this area and they
Right.
can appreciate how much we have to offer.
America 250, the FIFA, the soccer is coming. I know planning and zoning is working at looking at an Airbnb ordinance because we currently don't have one, but we know that there are about 75 Airbnbs in the community through anecdotal, conversations. And they should be properly licensed and permitted and inspected. It's good revenue for those responsible property owners, and it's good revenue for the township. And it's great to have people come to Upper Darby and stay overnight. So I haven't attended the first meeting yet, but Visit Delco did ask me to participate on their advisory board representing Upper Darby. So hopefully at the next meeting, I'll have more information on that. Yep. Thank you. Right. Again, thank you for the opportunity to give you these updates.
Thanks, Rita. I think this is a good addition to the meeting, having you give us the synopsis. We've been doing this new ourselves for a couple years and sometimes not necessarily knowing where are we going. And so it's nice to hear where you're going, and so we can make sure we get right behind it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay, next we were going to do a review of 8520, but late today, the developers of that property had asked if they could switch. They have a little more work to do on the plan revisions that we had suggested to them, and so they'll be coming back in June instead of tonight. So, does anybody have any questions about that? It's just them wanting more time. Okay, so next we could go to old business, and we have folks here from the Seacane Self-Storage project to discuss the public meeting that we had requested they hold. Thank you.
We did. Hi, my name is Gina Gerber. I'm an attorney on behalf of the applicant this evening. We did have that meeting, as you requested. We had it at a banquet hall that was less than a mile from the actual property. It was held last week on May 7th at 6 p.m. We had 2 neighbors in attendance, so we had a nice little informal discussion. We had the plans there. We had some renderings. Those folks were really just curious as to what the status of the project was. They hadn't heard anything about it in a while. I believe they both indicated that they had received notice back in 2021, 23, and 24 when the project was going through zoning approval and an extension of that zoning approval. So they were really just curious to know what we're doing. Are we still pursuing it? Has the plan changed? So we spent a good amount of time. We were there for about an hour with those folks talking through the plan, just getting them familiar with what's being proposed. We talk a little bit about the existing conditions on the property, which, as you all know, the property has not been treated very nicely by some of the folks that are passing through. We've seen some temporary encampments in the wooded areas along there from time to time that have had to been cleared out. We've seen quite a bit of dumping of various garbage, trash, tires. So I think the 2 owners were fairly excited to see that that property was going to be under more 24/7 care, and that the misuse that has been happening because it's a vacant property is going to be discontinued in the very near future. So very positive conversation, but we had noticed approximately 20 neighboring property owners around Cambridge Circle, and then the owners of Bishop Hill Apartments as well. And unfortunately, our turnout wasn't quite what we thought it would be, but, you know, we talked with those that were there. So I do know that your April 14th Planning Commission recommendation did indicate to address some of the comments from staff. And we have the benefit of Joshua's recommendation there. Those comments are going to be the subject of a very soon resubmission on the revised plans and the responses to the review letters that we've received on this project. So within the next week or so, that should be going into the township. It's our hope that we can get this project before council at their June meetings to discuss and then hopefully get a approval of this particular project. So that's where things stand on our end.
Thank you. Do any members of the commission have any questions? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Josh, did you have anything you wanted to add to the revisions that are coming, or your?
No, I mean, your guys' right motion stands from last time, and this is fulfilling that requirement. We work with the applicant to make sure that the letter was satisfactory, as requested, and worked with them on the email list. As of right now, right, there's a couple more comments that they're gonna hash out with us, but we feel that it's probably gonna be ready for council in June.
Excellent. Okay. Are there any members of the public who would like to talk about this particular project? No?
I have a question, John. What email list? You worked with?
I'm sorry, mail list.
Oh, okay.
The mailing list for Cambridge Circle residents and the Bishop Hill Apartments.
Was that meeting also offered as a virtual?
It
Did
was-
you add people as a virtual?
I believe it was just in person, yeah.
Just an in-person. We tried to schedule it in proximity so it's as close as possible to those folks that live on site.
It was across the street. It's about as close as you can get.
Yeah, but you know, people love Zoom.
Yeah.
Well, they love to stay in their homes and, you know, attend. I wonder if the attendance would have been just a tad bit better had it been both.
Potentially.
Something to think about if you ask for this again.
Yes. Okay, so next order of business is the new business, which is going to cover, initially, we have 2 letters of support for 2 grants that the township, mostly via the Public Works Department, is looking to request in the very near future. Thank you very much. Allison or Josh, did you want to introduce the 2 letters? So our job will be to, basically look at the letters. Josh and Allison have nicely outlined for us in the letters which parts of the comprehensive plan these grants attach to, which would be the logical path for our support. So those are outlined by number in the letters that you have in front of you. And then if we all agree with it, then Jeff can sign these when he's available.
Yeah, so you have 2 letters in front of you. The first one we'll do is the DCED Greenway Trails and Recreation Program application. This is, right, expressing support for the completion of the pedestrian bridge along the Darby Creek Trail. Right, this is a bridge that's already been partially funded by the Delaware County the Delaware County, what is it, Walkworks? No. Greenways, the Greenways grant. So this is kind of just funding so that we can secure the other half of it and build it. Pretty much all the trail around it is built. So this is literally just the missing connection point. And this is represented in our 2018 comprehensive plan under Goal 4, which is to reconnect our neighborhoods to safe, attractive, and sustainable environments. Specifically with actionable items that relate to it, transforming the nature/character of some community open spaces for passive use, right? Biking and walking through parks would be passive use. And then investigating the feasibility of neighborhood greenways to integrate recreational spaces into neighborhoods and to improve bicycle pedestrian connectivity. Again, this works on the greenways and then really the improving bicycle and pedestrian connectivity. We're quite literally crossing a creek with a pedestrian bridge and connecting both sides of the park. So with that, maybe I'll just go to the next one and then we'll just do questions for all. The next letter, right, is for the flood mitigation program. Upper Darby is proposing improvements to alleviate flooding that will hopefully reduce flooding for about 158 residential properties west of Naylor's Run Creek. This project will improve water quality and increase resiliency for large stormwater events. It's supported by the comprehensive plan under the same goal, number 4, reconnect our safe neighborhoods to safe, attractive, and sustainable environments. But this is specifically under section 9, where it says continue to work with the EAC and Eastern Delaware County Stormwater Collaborative to improve stormwater management and water quality in Upper Darby Township. And this hits at the stormwater management and water quality portion of that. Allison, do you have anything else that you want to add from a technical perspective?
So in particular, this one for Naylor's Run, it's basically creating a bioretention basin to hold the flow water, the flood waters coming from upstream, hold it when the creek is high. It won't release the water as readily, so the water doesn't get downstream as much, so kind of slowing down the flood waters from flooding downstream, and at the same time reducing surcharging from the storm sewers upstream. So that's pretty much basically what that is. In addition, it also will meet or help meet the township's MS4 sediment pollutant reduction requirements, about 2.5% out of the 10% requirement.
As you know, right, we have a pretty big stormwater issue here in Upper Darby, so we're chipping at it away, every way we can. And this would be a great benefit for that.
Where is the tank going to be located, or?
In Drexel Gardens Park.
It's right now the township currently has a construction project on the east side of Drexel Gardens Park where the Little League ball fields are. This would be on the west side of the park, between the the ped bridge that crosses over and the intersection between Cedar and Fairfax. You can picture that. So there's some green area that belongs to the township, so we would be taking advantage of that open space there.
Excellent.
In the last rain, was that enough to kind of see how the whole structure would work, how the whole system would work?
I mean,
Or do we only find out when there's a flood?
It would really be more applicable when it's a flooding conditions, because when you have the high water, that's when the basin will really be helping to retain that water. If you have low flows, the water can infiltrate into the ground. We're hoping to get that to be a bioretention basin, so there will be plants that absorb the water, so you won't have standing water as much in the basin. But the reason why we're applying it under the flood mitigation grant is so that during high waters, it can be the most beneficial.
And then here's a picture of the park. So you're saying it would be over in this area?
Yes, right where your cursor is.
Right here.
So the basin will be fenced. We are proposing to fence the basin around, so, dogs or pets and children won't get into the basin.
Perfect.
Just pull that out a little bit more. So is it, I could see more of the surrounding.
So right, this is trying to stop water, right, from piling up at the intersection of Lansdowne and State where we've seen it before.
Right, yep,
Does this help?
Yeah.
Kind of zoomed out. Right here's the high school.
because you have water.
There's the Acme.
Yeah, you have water flowing from the east side, coming from where the Little League fields are. You also have water coming from the west side through, I guess, Windermere.
You need a pointer.
It won't
Yeah.
work with this.
Right.
The TV absorbs the red light.
Yeah,
Oh.
Fairfax. That's the flows coming from State Road. So there's significant flows coming from both sides. So we have the project to address the east side. Now we have this project to address the west side. And all the flows do tunnel over right before it goes into the
Actually, it's more
shopping
like over here.
center. Yeah, right where Planet Fitness is, that's where the Nailers Run culvert goes underneath and then crosses Lansdowne Avenue in front of Beatty Lumber, and then it daylights in where State Road Builders is.
I guess the residents are aware of the proposal, right?
Not yet. This is, we're going to see if we can get the grant money first,
Okay,
and then once,
because that's pretty densely populated in there.
right, but this will definitely help,
Help with the flooding.
yes.
Yeah, I remember the flood at the shopping center a while, like 2 or 3 years ago. It was
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah,
they like shut down all those businesses south of the Acme, yeah.
that was massive.
Try and reduce that risk.
Yeah, okay. That sounds great.
So we could do it 2 motions or 1 motion,
Do one.
probably
I'll do one.
fine.
Is there any member of the public who would like to say something about the particular grants in question? Nope. Okay, then is there a motion to approve the submission of support letters for the flood mitigation grant and the pedestrian bridge grant?
Yeah, I'll, first a motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next order of business is Havertown is a little bit ahead of us timing-wise. They are working on their comprehensive plan and have asked us to take a look at it, see if we'd like to offer any comments. I think the timing's particularly good, given that we have to kick ours off. This will kind of give us a little bit of insight into how somebody
Yeah.
else is going about taking on this task. It's a big task, it's an important task, so I'm looking forward to seeing their structure, since they are especially our bordering neighbor. Hopefully, they're doing things that make sense for us, and we'll be doing things that also make sense for them. So Josh, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, I'm just, so yeah, our colleagues over at Haverford Township reached out to us to let us know that their comprehensive plan was made public, and it is currently in an open comment period until June 2nd, right? And as our northern neighbor, they wanted to see if we had any comments. So I'm not going to go through the whole plan, obviously, because that would take a long time, but I encourage all of our planning commission members to do. And then if you guys could send me any of your comments by, let's say, May 23rd. So that will give me enough time, right, to put any comments into a letter. But essentially, right, this is right on their webpage. Right, it's last updated in 4/15, draft PDF. You click on the PDF, and it has, right, Haverford 2035 right here. So, yeah, I mean, there's there's going to be a lot. One of the things that I'm probably most interested, right, is the future land use plan. So, right, a future land use plan is what supports, right, kind of the future of development. Right, that's something that we also want to be thinking about when we're redoing our future land use plan. Because when we change our zoning or when somebody comes in for zoning, right, we want to be able to look and say, okay, well, is this consistent with what we were imagining in the future, with what our comprehensive plan is proposing for the future? So they're in an open period. You guys have it. I'll send out the links separately, but for anyone watching online, right, if you just go to Haverford Township, you can find their comprehensive plan. And that's pretty much, there's no motions or anything that we need for that, but it's more or less informational. And I'll also forward it to Kate to send to council as well so that they can see it.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments on that?
No.
Then, is there a motion to adjourn?
I have a question though.
Sure.
I'm going to circle back to Starbucks. 'Cause I
Okay.
just happened to drive by and I'm seeing the graffiti now that's on
Mm,
that
Mhm.
really
Mm.
eyesore on that corner. I
Mm.
mean, is anybody following up? Like, or did they withdraw completely? Where are we?
At this point, they've withdrawn.
So they're out, they
Wow.
don't want to develop there anymore.
That's correct.
wow,
Disappointing.
very, wow.
So the property's up for sale or?
I don't think it was ever I think it was. I don't think it was ever owned by Starbucks. I think it was always owned by the same people that own the shopping center, and that it was just being developed on and then leased. But as far as any graffiti, we can put in a complaint or a request and have code enforcement go and perform enforcement action like any other property.
Well, what happens now? I mean, how do we get another candidate for that property?
Well, you know, and isn't that the question?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was an
You know, it's
answer.
If I may.
Please.
So it is private property. It is owned by the same group that owns the Bond Shopping Center. So that's a big partner in Upper Darby. And we can certainly schedule a meeting with them, Josh, and talk to them about what their plans are. Because having vacant and now blighted properties with the graffiti, that is not in the best interest of anybody. So, yeah, let's please, Josh, make a meeting invite and get them to the table so we can understand the plan.
I mean, the sad thing is there's properties on that part where Acme is that are still vacant and have been vacant for years now.
Yeah.
So,
I think, we kind of, the agenda fit well with my report about the capital plan and the flood mitigation. Because when you have a shopping center that is repeatedly at risk for flood,
Mhm.
it's going to be very hard to lease it up. So these sorts of measures help the economic development immensely. Yeah. And have you shared the Beatty lumber? Yeah.
I don't know if that's out yet, but we suppose
Well,
we should.
I mean, I've met with them twice, so
Great.
I'll say it. Beatty Lumber has come to us talking about a subdivision of their property as their business model changes. And there is a Wawa store. There's one further down on State Road, and they want to close that one potentially. They haven't applied yet, and do a full Wawa with the fuel on the subdivided part of Beatty Lumber. And, this is important for a lot of reasons. One is the smaller Wawa, it's a real traffic kind of nightmare getting in and out of that on State Road. So this would be completely re-engineered. And it brings the fuel back into Upper Darby. So when the Exxon, which is now that vacant property where we had hoped the Starbucks would go, the Exxon, when the Giant opened in Haverford, a lot of people started going to the Giant.
mm,
So this will bring, if the Wawa, idea does come to fruition and comes before this body, that fuel means people will be buying their fuel in Upper Darby and everybody who goes up and down State Road. And we will have that revenue, which is taxable, and we will have liquid fuels credit. So, just another example of the ripple effect of some of these plans that are hopefully coming up.
Just,
thank you.
just in guessing the reason Wawa wouldn't go where the Exxon is because they would have to lease it from Bond, or is that, it just seems like that's
But
easier,
a
but
little
they're
tight.
gonna buy the land from Beatty when it's subdivided, or is that the
I don't
intention?
know if it's
Okay.
going to be a ground lease or a purchase. I think the Exxon location with doing a Wawa store and the fuel
Oh,
is
okay.
probably a little bit tight.
Okay.
What I know from my experience that when you're dealing with a Starbucks or a Wawa or Chick-fil-A, any of the big ones, a Panera, those companies are very, very good at doing the preliminary scouting. And they're at a point in their evolution as a business where they're only going to go where they know they're going to be successful and where they know they're going to generate the revenue. So when they come to us and say, this Wawa here is going to be better than the smaller one down the street with no fuel, I'm pretty confident that they have done their homework on making sure that will be a successful Wawa.
And in our conversations with them, they say the old Wawa buildings usually sell pretty fast as well because they're pretty much ready to go.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
So hopefully two new sources.
Okay.
yeah, but I,
Yeah, I would definitely like a meeting with the owner of that property where the gas station is, because, I mean, the school district may be interested in it. I mean, they put a bid in at Delaware County Community at the hospital. I mean, it sits right there in the corner.
Yeah, it's actually a great time with this grant because it's always good to go with a, substantial property owner in the community to say, we've got this grant happening. So we're doing flood mitigation. So the problems that you and your tenants have experienced aren't going to be as bad in the future. So it's actually perfect timing.
Yeah.
Give them the good news that that's out there.
Yeah, put out an email.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks, Rita.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion?
Second.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.